Alright, folks, so I'm going to review the album Firehouse. It's a self titled album by the group Firehouse and came out in 1990. Kind of a different time. This was before alternative metal and grunge really started getting along. I'd say Nirvana, Alice in Chains had dropped, an album but hadn't quite taken off. Guns N' Roses was pretty popular around this time. Just 80, obviously at that point, 80s and glam metal was still kind of back and forth trying to decide what was going to happen, I would guess. I don't know a ton of glam metal artists. I think Kiss happened to kind of be one, and I know Guns N' Roses is one, but this is a new one just to kind of see the angle as to which these guys went. Because even though it was released in the 90s, it didn't really set off like new trends. Picturing glam in the 90s, it didn't feel like that was the trend of the moment, but it's still a good album. I would definitely say, and by the way, this was recommended to me by the Big Brain on Music. So, yeah, so we'll talk about a few of the singles off this project, and I'll digest this a little bit more. So, uh, really, this has a mishmash. When I looked up a review for this album, they had basically said that the song "Love of a Lifetime," which I think a lot of folks might say that that's one of their best and better songs. This was a power ballad. I didn't quite get along with it, but I do think I don't think the opinion is going to change that this is a standout song. So the main thing is there's a couple of songs that have a different feeling to them, and there's more that feel like glam metal and more rock. So the two songs that feel like more rock to me were Shake and Tumble and then All She Wrote, both of which I do enjoy, and these are highlights in my opinion. Shake and Tumble kind of feels just like uh, almost like a street song, in rap terms, something that would, it didn't really chart at all, but I think it still got some radio airplay as one of the better songs that I thought. All She Wrote was the weakest charting single on here besides that. That's another heavy song that I did enjoy. Don't Treat Me Bad was kind of one. I want to like this song, but I'm just not used to the more acoustic and relaxed kind of benign nature to it. It seemed like uh, Guns N' Roses that did this type of song maybe with the Sweet Child of Mine, just not as emotional. It's really mellow, but the lazy feel to the song just kind of was off putting. So maybe the song will grow on me, but for the moment I didn't enjoy it. So, but out of the rest of the songs, I'll go ahead and list a few more that I would recommend you try out. So basically, out of the first 5 songs, 4 of those were a treat, and the other two that I haven't mentioned yet would be Rock on the Radio and then Ought to Be a Law. I almost would think going to a Firehouse concert that they'd probably perform Ought to Be a Law. I mean, at this point, I would suppose since 1990, they probably have plenty of hit singles, but this felt like an album cut that they could do. I like that song, and then Don't Walk Away was another one. So that's basically me enjoying just about half out of the 12 of the songs on the project. So, for me to basically, I mean, some of these just felt like album cuts, like you could tell that they weren't going to be performed. It's kind of half and half. I mean, I could sense some of the ones that probably would be performed. I mean, at least back in 1991, they probably performed all of them, but some just stadium songs. I felt like Don't Walk Away was kind of a stadium one, and there was like one other one I'm thinking of that might have been, maybe it was Overnight Sensation, but a couple of these songs they performed, they just said were live. They just kept the live rendition of it, which I guess was fine. But yeah, it does have different styles. It's kind of like Alice Cooper. He has power ballads and stadium songs, car songs, just playing album cuts, just showing off guitar work and drum work and stuff. And then the singles, and I did appreciate a lot of the different matches that went along with it. So I mean, I kind of had a similar feeling to when I reviewed Alice in Chains' Facelift. I mean, I felt like the first couple songs is the first songs that you listen to had the most bravado to them, and they had, the enjoyment was there, but it just was strange, whether or not I'm just kind of uh, trying to be decisive with other songs I want to hear. I mean, I have to like a good handful of the singles for me to start getting used to the album cuts, because otherwise it just feels like it just is for private listening. Like it just is between me and the CD. I like the idea of being able to recommend, oh yeah, this is, music that other people like. And I know they have a pretty decent fan base. This went 2 times platinum, but it just depends. I mean, I think the Love of a Lifetime song is a pretty large song, but if it's divisive, that's kind of the thing. So, I did like 2 out of the 4, so that's just kind of the situation. Anytime where I don't like more than half of the singles on a project, it just kind of gives me a mixed feeling about it. But obviously a few of the songs made up for that. But I would have liked, I mean, if I could wind up liking Don't Treat Me Bad, I'd probably change my opinion. But they really did remind me of Guns N' Roses, so I enjoyed that. That was a treat. So the social score, I'm gonna give this album a 5 out of 10. The social score would get, about a 6.5, just because, or I'll just say a 7, because it did have 3 pretty high charting singles and a fourth one, just in case you wanted something else. So a 7 out of 10. I think really the idea that it has enough songs to where folks are going to know about it was a good thing. It was just that not, I mean, it just depends upon how many of these you're going to like. That was where I was coming from with it. So I took half through, half back. So that was kind of, this opinion on it, but it is enjoyable. So that's the thing about it. So, yeah, I would have to say, it's worth taking a look for if you haven't by now, but I probably need more time to see if I'm gonna like Don't Treat Me Bad.